Hello and welcome to the Futro Hidden Movie Gems podcast. I'm your host, Mrs. Doubtfire. I'm your host, Ty Spiker Christensen. I do this for a living, Max. Bang, bang, bang. We've got Jordan Christensen on the podcast.
I thought you said he was your friend. He's somebody's friend.
And we've got Cameron Mickle on the podcast.
Red light, Max.
Red light. Slow down. You're moving too fast.
No, that's when he reaches for like his phone. He's like, red light, Max. He's got the gun pointed at him.
That's right. I was thinking that was the time where he was accelerating. He was like, "Oh man, yeah, let's go." Starts driving through the city. And we've got Grant Mickle on the podcast.
He threw a man out the window. I didn't throw him. He fell.
What he said,
Killed
I
him.
shot. Oh,
The bullets
Well,
and
before
the
that,
ball
yeah, he's like,
killed
I
him.
shot him, and then he fell out the window.
yeah. The bullet and the fall killed him.
What do you
It's
guys
funny
think of
'cause
this movie, man?
It reminded me of that gentleman line where they're like, "You killed the boy." He's like, "Oh, we didn't kill him. He's like, gravity did the job."
Gravity. Yeah. That's very much like a Guy Ritchie line from a mobster film.
Yeah.
Or Scorsese. It feels like that. Hey, we kill him.
Well, like
Gravity
the
really did
gentleman,
job.
like I just said.
Oh, right. Well, yeah, that's why I said Guy Ritchie. So he directed that. And then I mentioned Scorsese. Did you
He was
mention
just
Scorsese?
affirming that, Cameron. Chill.
Yeah. Yeah, I was literally. You guys think I don't listen? I get the subtleties of what you guys are picking up. I'm saying it differently. Anyway, whatever.
Why
what
would
was
we
this movie
think
like?
that?
Why? What? I'm losing my mind.
Why?
What was it like watching this movie for the first time and rewatching it for the podcast? I'll start. So, because I don't remember who I watched this at Aunt Michelle's house. That was the first time I watched it. Back in college days, and I was like, "Oh, rated R film with Tom Cruise." I hope Aunt Michelle doesn't mind. I was sitting down in the theater room blasting the speakers. I'm like, "Oh!" So I'm watching this movie, and I kind of liked it. I didn't really like it at first when I first saw it. I was like, it's like kind of slow. I was hoping for like, I don't know, John Wick or something. Like when I was
Mission
in college.
Impossible.
Yeah, I was like, I want to see Tom Cruise a little more charming. He's like a bad guy. And it's so funny because I didn't think that would affect me. And now I totally appreciate this movie. So on rewatch, this movie blew me away on rewatch. I was like, this movie is way better than it had any business of being. Like,
Yeah.
This is an excellent film. And that's why I actually wanted to review it. So this is my pick for this week. And heck yes, watching this was a high octane thrill ride. Super exciting, nail biting suspense. It's everything you want. It's action, crime, drama, and a thriller. Watch the heck out of this movie. So I loved it. Absolutely love this. It's way better the second time. So, but how about you, Cameron? What was it like watching it for the first time and rewatching?
Yeah, I think the first time I watched this was in high school with Jordan.
We did.
I'm pretty sure. It was like when Jordan was showing me like Equilibrium and all these movies, and it was just like, and it was like movie after movie. It was when we were watched like 16 movies in a weekend. Like that was the kind of the structure. And
I thought this was your first time, so you have seen it.
Yeah, I'd seen it. And
oh, did I even mention? Sorry, the title, Collateral. Did we mention that? I'm not even sure if I mentioned the title or the director or anything.
Somebody's like, "What am I listening to?"
I know it's probably the title of the pod. Just real quick, we're reviewing Collateral. Came out in 2004, directed by Michael Mann, stars Tom Cruise and Jamie Foxx, and Michael's the man,
dude. And freaking Jason
Smith, Mark
Statham
Ruffalo.
shows up at the beginning.
yeah. Same
I
with
got
Javier
so
Bardem.
excited.
Yeah, and Javier Bardem.
I was like, what?
Amazing little cameo. Yes. Do you believe in Humpty Dumpty? I was like, dude, it's freaking doing that. This is his audition for the freaking serial killer in No Country, man. What's the most you ever lost in a coin toss? Wrong movie. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead, Karen.
Yeah. So first time watching this, I remember I was like really impressed by villain Tom Cruise. It was fun to see him in that role. And rewatching
and white hair, no less. Like that has to be mentioned. The white hair. I just have to mention.
That was an interesting choice. Yeah.
The gray hair with the gray suit is it was so much to process.
it does. He sticks out, right? I mean, it's just he's exploding on screen. Tom Cruise is like, I don't want people to recognize me because they anticipate a good, fun thrill ride where I'm a good guy, I'm the hero. But in this one, he's a villain. So he's like, I want to dye my hair, no one's gonna recognize me. It's like, Tom, you're the most recognizable person on planet Earth. I'm sorry. It's just there's no hiding. There's no hiding it. So.
That's true.
And then rewatching it for the pod, I was surprised that I forgot how much action was in this. Like first, I just for some reason I kind of remember it more being like phone booth, where it was like there was a little action in the beginning, and then just kind of like stressful, like kind of blackmail most of the time, and then like action at the end. But I was like, the moment that people stole the briefcase, I was like, bro, any other person in LA, you could have stole that briefcase, but not his briefcase, bro. He's not letting you get away with that. And, yo, homie. I was like, golly. But yeah, it was really fun, and really impressed by it, like all the performances and the crazy cameos, because I didn't recognize the first time like watching it, like how many different cameos there are.
It's true. Cameron sorry, Grant, how about you, man?
So I just watched it for the first time today, and
Yeah.
I was blown away. It was a really, really good film.
Did you watch it on times 2 speed?
I did not. Well, I made that as a
Good.
joke because I always procrastinate watching the show, but I actually watched this earlier today. So
Oh wow!
I was waiting for someone to be like, "You."
I was gonna
what are you
say
doing?"
something, but I'm like, I'll actually be nice to Grant for once.
That's funny. Yeah, that
I'm
was a
glad you
joke.
saw it, Grant. What'd you think, dude?
No, I thought it was phenomenal. Like, I mean, like Jamie Foxx's performance is just phenomenal, and like, well, just everyone's acting is really, really good in the movie. But like,
He's the king of schmooze.
but just like the
Those
conversations
glasses
were
can't
even.
hide that.
I know they tried to play him like a some dweeb. I'm like, this guy is dropping like gold record album. Like, stop with the whole
like
nerd.
and he's so charming. I'm like, what taxi driver do you know like this?
Yeah, it was
but
really,
he
really
did
fun
good.
to watch.
Yeah, he did good being the shy mama's boy hiding secrets from his mama.
Yeah.
I love it, Grant. Jordan, how about you, man? What was it like watching it for the first time, rewatching it for the pod?
So I like Ty. I watched this
At Michelle's?
from no. I was just gonna say and didn't actually I got to when that guy fell out the window and I was like, this is boring.
Oh, dude, that's just where it gets good, man.
I know, but
That's funny.
and then I think I stopped at the guy that plays jazz part. I think I don't know. I might have finished it. Honestly, I can't even remember the first time.
Let it be said that Jordan hates jazz music.
I know. I watched this
I hate jazz music.
back in I think 2009 from Dad's DVD case.
Yeah.
So I was just going through all his movies, and now after having watched Heat and having an appreciation for Michael Mann's work, I went back and rewatched it, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is a masterpiece. This is amazing. Like everything about it, I absolutely love. So.
Yeah, it's a sleeper. It's almost like you got to have a refined taste or something. Because when I was a kid, I was like, oh, it's not Power Rangers. I don't know what I was thinking. Because Grant, I like you or Cameron, you mentioned like, yeah, you thought there wasn't as much this whole movie. I was like, like Tom Cruise is like freaking John Wick, and spoiler alert, Tom Cruise plays the villain in this movie, right? And maybe I mentioned that earlier, but what a character he was, like this nihilist, cynical.
I love his I love his lines under his breath where he's like, if you don't get them to walk away, he's like, there's not enough room in the trunk for both of them. I was like, oh my god. I was like, holy,
that was great. Oh, and then they're like, I'm gonna need you to pop the trunk and step out of the car, and he like literally grabs his gun. You're like, ah! And then they're like, oh, we just got a call. There's a murder that happened downtown. You're like,
Saved by the Bell. Holy crap.
I know, but it was literally the murder that he caused, which I love. That is so awesome. So like, oh, we gotta go. Someone just got murdered, and then like go off. And you're like, dude,
around LA.
This is your guy that killed him. I love it, and they let him go. That's the Zodiac, right? If the pigs weren't too busy, they would have noticed blood all over me if they would have stopped me and questioned me, right? That's anyway.
Because the kids, didn't they say it was a black man, so they weren't looking for a white Caucasian? Isn't that what happened?
Yeah, I think they said a dark figure, and so they just assumed it was black.
Oh, okay. Because they let him go just because they assumed it was something else. Anyways, back to Are we getting right into it yet?
Two favorite things. Go, Jordan. Go.
Gordon.
Okay. I just want to say when Tom Cruise, like his character, like everything about it, I absolutely love. But when he's talking to his boss on the phone, amazing. It's like, tell your boss. I can't even remember what he
Oh
says.
yeah.
Tell your boss to stick this yellow cab up his.
When he's talking
Like,
to Jimmy Fox's boss, yes, the cab.
Yeah.
He's like, "Hey,
Take
I'm a
your
lawyer. I'm gonna
yellow
sue you."
cab
Yeah.
and shove it up. He just says it so lifeless. I love it because it's so different. It's like just like totally roasting his boss or whatever.
I love it.
Yes, that whole
So
segment
good.
was amazing. I just love it.
And that kind of makes you win a little bit. Tom Cruise kind of wins you over just a
Yeah.
little bit there. You're like,
Well,
he's
then he
kind of
saves him
helping
in the
stick
club
up.
too, and so you're
Yep.
like, well, and he calls him his
kills
friend like as a
Buffalo.
joke, but like you kind of like feel that throughout the movie, which is kind of funny.
I
Yeah,
hate
Like
when he
he's
kills
taking his
Ruffalo.
hostage
I
and calling
forgot
him a
that.
friend.
When he's like, oh, he's like, I like that cop was after you. Like I saved you. I was like,
No, that was my favorite part. He's like, you shouldn't have shot him. He's like, he believed in me. He's like, oh, I should have saved him because he believed in you.
he's so
I know,
good.
dude. Their banter back and forth was so good,
So
dude. Yeah, he
good.
fell. He's like, really not like, and I love when one of my favorite scenes in this rewatch was when Tom Cruise comes out of the apartment and he looks and he sees that he's falling in the cab. He's like he's just like, I told him to wait in the alley, and of course he fell out the window, which he wasn't anticipating. And he sees, and he's all distraught, and then he just pulls his gun out, and he's like he's coming up with a plan. He's like, okay, what do I do? I have a lot more hits to do. Can't have this guy go. So now I got a hostage situation. It's just so good. But the way Tom Cruise like comes around the corner, because at first Jamie Foxx is like, dude, this guy fell. He's not piecing it together, right? He couldn't have possibly imagined that the guy went up and killed someone.
Yeah.
And comes back to him. I love that whole moment of the realization, because it plays like it's a really cool first act to second act twist, because I watched this with my wife, and she was like, this whole first act is kind of like a romantic comedy, because
yeah.
because you have Jada Pinkett Smith, and then Jamie Foxx is like hitting on her, and they kind of have this banter back and forth, and then she gets out of the cab, and you're like,
that was Jada Smith.
Yeah, Jada Pinkett Smith.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Jordan didn't recognize her with all that hair, so
I will say it was the first time I was ever attracted to her in any role she's ever played.
Oh, it's funny that you say that, Cameron. So my wife literally, so in fear that Will Smith is going to come on this podcast and slap each of us silly. So my wife literally at the end of the movie, she's like, oh, that was Jada Pinkett Smith. I didn't even recognize her. She's like, she looked good with all that hair. And I was like, honey, that's so insensitive. And she's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, the alopecia, she's hair loss or whatever. Anyway, my wife is like so out of the loop. She like didn't know. And I'm like, you remember Will Smith slapping Chris Rock, right? And she's like, yes. Like, do you know what that was about? No. So yeah, that had to get mentioned on this podcast. So I was like checking under my bed that night for Will Smith, making sure he wasn't going to slap me silly or something. But anyway, that had to be mentioned. Yeah, but second favorite thing, Jordan.
Oh, well, there's so many things, but I'll just say one more, which is
because you have only one more.
I know. Sorry. Ty's got me thinking about people under the bed. I've been watching TikTok videos of people grabbing their legs and screaming. So now I'm like, I can't get that out of my head. The shootout in the club. Amazing. Yeah. Holy crap.
So crazy.
And I feel like it would have cleared out faster, but I love just like the hectic, just people running everywhere, and just like, and there's
you tried to say manic and frantic. Mantic. Yeah, I like that word.
Mantic. And then there's a guy with a machine gun just unloading on everybody.
Dude, civilians were not safe. Holy crap.
Dude, no. And
it was collateral damage.
Exactly.
That's right. And they were collateral. So Grant, how about you, dude? Two of your favorite things.
I really, really liked the music. That like even the slow parts where they weren't even saying anything, just like the mood that the music brought at those certain moments were really, really good.
Such a 2000s movie.
Dude, that song is the only thing I would say that's out of this place, but I loved it. I was like rocking to it. I'm like, heck yeah. Audio Slave, dude. I haven't heard that music since the 90s. I love that.
Yeah, so I really like the music, and then I really just liked how just like it was so interesting throughout the whole thing. Like he just had these like pit stops that he had to go, all of his targets that he had to get to. I love too. Okay, I guess my second favorite part is when Jamie Foxx like has that mantle change when he faces like Felix, and he like takes off his glasses and just like changes his whole persona. you
Oh,
know.
where he has to pretend to be,
Mhm.
Vincent, right? I'm
Yeah,
Vincent.
and then like
Tell your man to
he
put his
like
gun away.
and like he takes he like uses that jazz analogy of like adapting and improvising in the moment. And so I just really like that theme throughout, and that like he's able to adapt, and he goes from being this like weak person to being someone who ends up saving the girl at the end, you know.
I love how many times
So
he quotes Tom Cruise throughout this movie. He just like copies and pastes
Yeah,
whatever he says.
that's what
Especially
made it cool, that he was listening and he understood him, so he was able to, like you
mm,
said, Grant, he used some of his own words and made
yeah.
it sound, because that's great. He's like, they don't know who I am and they don't get the privilege of seeing me, but you have to go in and get a new briefcase, and you're just like, oh my gosh, he's gonna die, he's gonna die. Like, I'm Vincent, and they're like, this guy's Vincent, and he's like, send him in, and you're like, oh my gosh, and then you find out Tom Airport down, he's like, he's gonna torture you. You think I can put
Yeah.
Humpty Dumpty back together again? Oh, it's so good, dude.
Yeah, I just love that like they even show that he's like not perfect at, you know, this transition. Like he tries and throw the trash can at the door and then it does nothing. And so he like holds the gun like
the
you
the
know.
two bolts was a little like excessive. I'm like,
Excessive,
I'm sure
yeah.
one would have done the trick,
Yeah,
brother.
one did
I
the
know,
trick.
right? So his character is just great.
Yeah,
Fun to follow.
great. Yeah, gets the girl at the end. I love it. Cameron, how about you? Two of your favorite things?
I think my favorite thing about the movie is I love that Jamie Foxx does everything that I would do if I was a hostage. Like he tries to do everything that like I would think about doing. And that's why I feel like it made the movie a lot more believable, because a lot of times I'm like,
Calling for help from the strangers in the alleyway turned out to be really good, right?
yeah, and then they're like, give me your money. And he's like, my hands are tied to that steering wheel. Don't you see?
He puts a gun. He's like, "Hey, help me out here. I'm being held." And then he's like, "Put a gun in his face." You're just like, "Oh my gosh,
Give me your
people in
wallet.
Los Angeles suck."
But
Oh
like
my gosh.
that's what I like, is because especially a lot of these movies, because similar to why I also like Red Eye, is she tries a lot of different things and isn't just like, oh, okay. Because I'm like, I feel like in a dire situation where you think you're about to die, you're like kind of willing to be more risky. And so I love that also the incorporation of his mom made it more realistic as to why he wouldn't just run away in like the club scene.
Yeah,
Because I'm
I
like,
did like
bro,
that.
just run away. Like he's clearly lost, like where you're at, or even when he goes in. So things like that, but I'm like, because he knows where his mom is, he's like, I'll go and execute her. And you're like, okay,
Yeah,
I'll
you
do what
believe
you
him. You
say.
believe
Yeah.
him. He does not care.
And
Yeah.
and then same thing with like flipping the car, because there was at one point where the first time watching it, I was just like, dude, homie's never wearing his seatbelt. I'm like, just ram into a fetching like
I
side thing,
I thought that
and
same
then
thing
he does
too.
it, and I was
And
like, wow, you're a brave man.
a
Um,
crazy car flip too, dude. Just
the
Mhm.
practical
so
effects on
awesome.
that were insane.
It's
Um,
nice. It's
So that
nice.
was like my favorite part of it. And then my second favorite part was also, I was just really impressed at like the tie-in of like the beginning scene, like
Mhm.
with Jada. Because initially I was like, why
And
are
I
we
was
learning
like,
so much
what was the
about
point
this
of her?
girl? I was like, what the
Yeah.
fudge is the point of this? I was like, it's kind of a random setup to get to know like Jamie Foxx, but then like have it loop back and she's on it.
Great
And my
payoff.
favorite,
Yeah.
like my favorite scene is when like he's on the outside, like that's just the ultimate anxiety. Like he's on the outside seeing where he's at and where she's at, and then he's like on
Yeah.
the phone. He's like, okay, no, now he knows where you're at. He's coming. Like he knows where you are, and she's like, hello, hello, and he's like, oh man, like I just thought that was so good. It's just like
Yeah.
Cruise
Kind
who's
of
in the
kind
movie
of
so
gave me a
creepy.
vibe of Cellular, that movie where it's just
Yeah,
like
it is kind of in
the
like
use
the
of flip phones and
calling. Yeah,
you know, you know.
yeah.
Well, I love too when Jamie Foxx gets up to, like right before Tom Cruise is gonna shoot the girl, he's like, he points the gun at him, and he doesn't let Tom Cruise like give his speech. He literally just shoots him like right away, and that's where he gets like nicked in his neck or whatever. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, did you give him time to think or give his
I know,
monologue? He's
yeah,
like, "Get him."
yeah.
It's so true. I thought that too, Grant. You shoot them right away. It's so funny. But yeah, I love it. So anyway, any other nitpicks? You guys want to throw out our quotes? Because there's so much in
Do
this
you
movie.
have
Like,
two favorite things to say?
thank you for asking. So one, I would say I love the the moments where they have together in the cab, because I remember watching like movies like Red Eye, Phone Booth, like the very tight knit spaces, and I love to see a director make very dynamic shots and feel, because it can kind of get pretty boring if you just have shot reverse shot. Or so I think it's cool sometimes you're outside the cab and you look in and you see him, Vincent, in the back behind Max, which I really liked. I think that kind of gave like a good feeling of like he's just always lurking behind him, but it's like it's an odd situation because again, like a cab driver has someone that's usually disinterested in the back, but you're like, this is a trained killer, and a few times, he threatens him with the gun. So I just every scene that they're in the car together is just it's manic and it's intense, and he's trying to, like you said, Cameron, all the things that he tries to do, the decisions in this movie are actually very believable. And even if like this whole story is pretty crazy and over the top, that's like I really like it because it still feels very grounded, and it feels very like even a good example like would be the moment where he throws the briefcase and it goes flying and it hits the side of the freeway, all the money's everywhere and everything, and he's just like Tom Cruise in that moment, like he's
I don't think that
so
was
mad.
money.
You're
That
like,
was his contracts.
yeah, it was no. So his files were in there, but there was also some money that he took from what's his face, the first guy he
Oh,
killed.
really?
Yeah, there was money, there was
Um,
bills in there, dude. So
I
I
didn't
don't know
see
how
that.
much money, but yeah, there was money, drugs, who knows, right? There was all kinds of stuff, but it was his briefcase, and he was just when he looks back at Max, I swear he was going to kill him in that moment. Like Tom Cruise looks so mad. He just looks over the freeway and then he just like looks at Max, like Max, run.
Well, that's what
Like,
he's crazy for. I thought he was gonna threaten, like, if you don't leave me alone, like I'm gonna toss it. But he was just like,
yeah,
my only leverage I have on you.
He's the only
I was
leverage
like,
I have, and throws it. And he's like, oh, I'm
But-
dead. But then it's so good because again, Tom Cruise, again, his wheels are spinning. So Tom Cruise is thinking like, I just want to kill this guy so bad. But it's like, you're gonna go in and ask for a new one because my
Well,
evening is not
also,
done. And I love that. I thought
but
that was
also
such a
he
great
was going to pin everything on him because remember he said
Yes.
this is the same
Yes.
case. I mean, a
Yes.
similar case. A guy committed suicide after he shot a bunch of people. You're like, no.
Yes, and you're like, yeah, he's setting it up so he can get away scot-free, and Max will take the fall. So, and that's what I really like about it because, like you said, there are moments where you actually feel like Tom Cruise might almost win you over because it's like, oh, he's like a down to earth. It's not personal. He's not like a vengeful person. But see, that's what I love about the twist ending, is it turns personal. Right, this whole time he's convinced you that, oh, I just kill. It's contract killing. Oh, are these bad people you're killing? Who cares? He's like, someone wanted this person dead. They were probably running drugs. Who knows? Like, who the freak cares, right? And I just think it's really cool how cold and heartless he is. To the very end, my favorite quote is just at the end on the subway. And he's like, "I do this for a living." It's so creepy and it's terrifying. And Tom Cruise is like such a scary villain, all right. And that transformation, watching him turn into this stone cold killer to kind of getting personal, cold stone killer. The cold stone killer, to turning into a stone cold killer, to like it being a personal thing against him and Max. And I just really liked that. I thought that was kind of cool. And so it escalates into that tension. And then, yeah, like you said, Max gets away with the girl, man. He kills the hired assassin, he saves the girl, and they get married and live happily ever after, of course.
Well, I
And
love too that he's dying on the subway. He's like, do you think anyone will notice? Because before he talked about a guy dying on the train.
The callbacks, yes. He's like,
and
dude,
no
this is
one-
such an
yeah.
evil city. Someone got killed, and then like not until they made it to the last stop did anyone even know that he was dead. People were coming in and off that subway, sitting next to a dead guy, and they didn't even realize it. And you're like, that's dark. And at the very end, dude, he's sitting there and he's like not moving, and you see him like move his jacket. There's like a big bloody, soaking his shirt, and he's just like, do you think anyone will notice? And you're like, call back. You're like, suck it, Tom. Because again, you start to disagree with Tom more and more as you find out he's just more and more cynical. He's less, he's cold, he's heartless, and you don't want him to kill Jada. You're like, you're not gonna kill the lawyer lady. You didn't do anything bad.
I always like to get a dip a little bit into their psyche. Like I love when he starts talking about
his dad.
Yeah, like his
little bit of his dad. Yeah, I don't know.
little,
my dad left.
Yeah, and just a little bit, just here pieces here and there when he's like trying to dig at like, why do you do this? Like I love that, and he's like, he just has some amazing monologues. You're like, oh yes, because he had to have justified it in his head why he kills people. He's like, somebody dies every minute of every day, like just He's like, you didn't care about, you didn't even know that
Rwanda.
guy. You don't care about
Yeah.
all those
What about all
people.
the folks in what does he say, Hotel Rwanda or something like that?
Yeah.
He's like, I don't know any people from Hotel Rwanda. It's like, I know. Like, he's like, I don't see you signing. Yeah, he's like, you can still think it's a travesty, but it's not like you signed up for the Peace Corps and started helping out. And it is like, I mean, again, a very nihilist point of view. Like, this is like Rick, right? If Rick were a hired assassin, right, from Rick and Morty, right? He's just very cold and calloused. But again, at the end, it becomes personal. And I love that. I think it's cool. You kind of see him starting to fray because Jamie Foxx is outwitting the fox, the wolf. I don't know.
Just love killing.
The assassin. Just love killing. There we go, killing again. Yeah. And dude, driving an assassin around, that's just such a cool plot. Like, okay, I didn't even describe the plot, but you have a taxi driver that gets this contracted killer. And at the very beginning, he almost doesn't get him, right? He like goes up to his cab and he's like looking at or thinking about the last gal that he just dropped off. And he goes, oh wait, man, I'm open. And then you're like, oh no, he's gonna get in the car. He almost avoided it, the whole thing, because he almost got into a different cab. And you're like, oh, poor Max. But anyway, super
I
awesome
love
movie.
too. I love Vincent's quote where he's like, he's like, just take comfort in knowing that you never had a choice. Like, how's that comforting, dude?
The comfort you never had a choice. Oh man, yeah, dude. Tom Cruise plays a great villain. I gotta say it. If Tom Cruise wants to take a break from stunts and he just wants to be kind of like a villain, I'd sign up for that movie, dude. Like, everyone's trying to get him to be in the a superhero thing. I'm like, no, stay away, Tom Cruise. Like, you are a national treasure.
Don't do it,
Keep doing
yeah.
your stunts, and I would love to see more of this. Play villains, dude, because you have a career in that. He's a great actor. Like, it's
And
not just action and stunts. And he of course, he did the running. So good.
And
Gotta do
Ty,
it.
something that's interesting because you were talking about how you wouldn't even recognize like Tom Cruise in this role. It's interesting. In preparation for this film, Michael Mann actually had Tom Cruise go down in LA dressed up as a FedEx worker to see if anyone would notice him, and nobody noticed. Like,
Oh, with
him
his hair
down.
changed?
Uh-huh.
Interesting.
Isn't that
Dang.
crazy?
But I mean, to be fair, you show up with the cap on your FedEx. It's not like you're like, dude, is that 50 Tom Cruise delivering my mail? like, no, you idiot. It's some other guy that probably looks like Tom Cruise, but no.
Because Michael Mann said he wanted like the character to be someone that could like essentially just go like unrecognized in crowds where you're like, oh, because he kind of just looks like a regular businessman. Like, if you saw him, you should be like, oh, that's some like wealthy business guy.
Yeah, not a gazillionaire.
Yeah, and when he fell, like when he fell on
Scientologist,
the
gazillionaire, most famous person of all time. Yeah.
when he fell on off the chair and like onto the glass, that terrible stunt that hurts my soul. It was actually an accident.
Yeah.
He wasn't supposed to fall off the chair, but Michael Mann loved the anomaly, so he's like, I'll leave it in.
I love it. I love it. Tom
Happy
Cruise is like,
little
but you can still get
accidents.
me running, right? I can run at the end of this movie, right? I get a run. Tom Cruise run, baby, upright. So good. He was like the only white guy I thought capable of catching a black man. That was amazing. Watching him chase after him, that was so exciting. I was like, Tom Cruise could clearly run faster than Jamie Foxx. I'm sorry, not even close. That was crazy.
Oh,
There was like 5 scenes of him running. I'm like, what more can you ask for? Come on.
I know. I love it.
he just looks good running.
There was I've showed you that YouTube video, but they basically said the longer Tom Cruise gets to run in a movie, the more chance and likelihood it has for a success. Because they looked at Tom Cruise's filmography. There's like 1 or 2 movies where he didn't run in, and they were both financial box office flops or something like that. It made me laugh so hard. So I was like, and it's conditional to his running. So the more he gets to run, let that man run. It's the more successful your movie will have. And I'm like, dude, uncage the beast, man. Let him run.
Speaking of Cage, I thought it was funny that in this last year, 2 movies were made just like this one. We got Sympathy for Mr. Devil. Did you finally watch that one?
Not yet. No.
Okay.
I started watching Renfield though, but yeah.
And then the other one we'll get to, which is The Passenger. Cameron will talk about. But do we recommend this film?
Heck yes, guys. This is a classic tale of, the man is passive. He's immobile. He's paralyzed with fear and complacency. He's too afraid to achieve his dreams of driving a limousine. He's got a limousine business where people show up. It's not about the ride. It's not about the destination, but it's about the journey, right? And he fails to start this business. He lies to his mom to seem more successful than he is. And I just love it. And then at the end, he gets the girl. He kills the assassin, slays the dragon, right? And he gets the girl at the end. So it's an
Well, I love
amazing,
too that the
amazing
mom
story.
says, if you want to get this kid to do anything, you got to put a gun to his head, and that's pretty much what gets them to
Yes.
do these things.
That was a
Which is
great line.
yeah, funny line,
I
because
love
again,
that.
it's
Crazy
like she
foreshadowing.
couldn't have imagined that this guy was there. Yeah, and in fact, he was so charming, right? She liked this guest and was saying like way too much
More than her
information.
son.
Like, yeah, it's like, mom, stop embarrassing me in front of this person. And anyway, it's great, and you just know how uncomfortable he is there, knowing like this killer, Anyway, so
Cameron, do you like this one or Heat better? I'm kind of curious with Michael
Ooh,
Mann's movies.
Heat better, in my opinion.
having seen I would rather rewatch this with people personally.
I think this is more
Yeah.
rewatchable.
Oh,
But I
okay,
think
yeah,
Heat is better because like Heat's in my top 100. I give this an 8 out of 10.
yeah.
So like I
Yeah,
think
Heat's in my top 100.
Heat's a little better.
It's
But
hard
it's
to
so
argue because
slow. It's just
yeah,
the
yeah.
problem
See,
with
that's
those
me.
scenes was what's his name? I care about him, but at the same time, like Robert De Niro and his girl.
Oh yeah,
I'm just like
and Robert De Niro. I know. I'm like, skip
no,
to the
I
end.
love everything with what's his name.
Al Pacino.
He's like, you can my wife, you can't watch my TV.
You just want to what? What do you want me to come home and tell you about some baby that got microwaved? What's wrong with you?
I'll watch every scene with Al Pacino.
Al
But
Pacino.
the Robert De
That's
Niro
true.
scenes, like I don't know, like
I love him.
they're good, but it's just like I'm like, all right.
All right, Cameron,
Just
what have you seen lately?
20
And what are you looking forward to? Cheap.
I've watched a lot of things. Watched some of the Batman because it's amazing. And then I also
The
watched
Batman, the Robert Pattinson movie.
no,
Or sorry,
yeah,
cartoon.
the
the
better
cartoon.
I just thought
2004
I know. I
cartoon.
just thought you changed your mind. That's all. I didn't know.
I still need to watch it.
You haven't seen the Batman?
No, again.
I was
okay,
on
yeah,
the
rewatch.
podcast for it, Ty.
I know, but that's why you were blowing my mind here. Sorry. Okay.
I watched Past Lives. Wow,
No spoil.
it's a perfect film. It's the director's first movie. The cinematography, insane. The way she like shoots through things is the craziest thing I've ever seen, especially for a first movie. It's crazy to me. It's in my top 25, or it's number 26. It's amazing.
Man, geez. I want to say recency bias, but man, you just keep putting on all these new
wait,
movies
Past
into your
Lives.
top
Yeah,
100.
this Past Lives. Did you see this one, Jordan?
I'm waiting for it to go on sale and then I'll buy it.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting, Cameron. Because yeah, I did see an ad for it. I don't know if it was on Prime or something like. It is on Prime, I
Yeah.
think. So, is that where you watched it, Cameron, or did you have to watch it for fun?
No, my buddy Colton, who's on the pod, he loves it, so he paid $20 for it. Because it's in his top 10.
Right on.
And then watched Brawl and Cell Block 99 with Jordan and my
Dang.
roommates.
Have you seen that
How
before,
was
Cameron?
that?
I was on
We-
for the pod for that.
Yeah.
But it was the first time I'd
Okay.
watched it in like 3 years.
Yeah.
I
How was it
forgot
revisiting?
I forgot one how slow it is, and I forgot how much violence. And you know what's so funny is the first thing Drew says after we finish, exactly like Granny. He's like, "That was pretty tame. There wasn't that much violence." I was like, "Huh?" Homie's face.
Breaks
I was
his
like,
face
Going to
across.
That
skull.
wasn't enough
No.
violence for you. And we just kept listing out things. I'm like, when he compound fractures multiple people's arms, he was like, "Well, I guess okay. I didn't mean it wasn't tame." I was like, "Bro, you need help."
It is funny though. There is like almost a sense of it's almost surreal, but almost because it's so real. Because usually you have like a stylized violence where I can understand where it's like if you say
And like
Tarantino,
sound
you're like,
effects
oh,
too.
super
Like
gory
this
sign
movie
effect.
just has just the fist sound like
Yeah,
hitting
it's just
your
like
face.
it's almost so real it freaks you out because like
His
usually you
face-
need the
and the sound
loud.
of his
Yeah.
face getting grated like cheese on the ground.
Yeah.
This is the real dragged across concrete.
I know, right? The mistitled. I'm telling you.
Mistitled. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Craig Zoller fumbled the bag on that one.
He probably got famous for that scene. He's like, dude, that's the one where the guy's face got drugged across concrete, and he's like, yeah, I'm that guy. I'm that director. It's Brawl and Cell Block is what it's
Also,
called. He
shout
goes,
out-
I'll make dragged across.
Shout out to Michaela's dad from Pair of Kings for being the giant like Samoan dude in this movie. I was like, oh my gosh. He was the one who
What?
yeah, he like broke in
In
his
Brawl?
yeah. And then I finally finished After Everything. It's got the same guy from The Bear, which I've been watching The Bear with Colton because
And Micah Monroe.
and The Bear's really good. Really stressful. It's about like this guy who takes over this kind of failing restaurant after his brother commits suicide. And it's like a family
the
business.
show,
And
right? Yeah,
yeah, and it's just like super stressful, and he's trying to like manage it all because he used to be like one of the best chefs in the world and working at one of the best like restaurants in like the world in France. And then now he's like back home in Chicago working at some kind of like just meat deli thing, like making sandwiches, and he's just like trying to switch it around. And it's just like it's just such a northerner slash like northeastern. It reminds me a lot of Manchester by the Sea, where people just refuse to, like actually acknowledge their feelings. Instead, they just like swear and drink. And so the bear is really good. I'm really liking it so far. After Everything has the same protagonist. It sucked. Don't watch it. Don't waste your time. It was just essentially about After Everything's about like this couple that gets this guy has like cancer, and then they kind of fall in love. And then
my wife and I thought it was all right.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I just felt like the ending message was like refusing to take a side. It was just like, we're gonna get a divorce, but we're really close friends. I'm like, what the fudge? Maybe it's a little too much PTSD for me, but and then watched I showed Colton The Gentleman. This is like my 8th or 9th time watching this movie. This movie is literally perfect every time I show it. I'm like, I've never showed it to someone who didn't love it. And yeah, it was again for me. And After Everything for me was 2 stars, so 4 out of 10. And then Gentleman, of course, 10 out of 10. And then
yeah, After Everything, why? Like, what was it that called you about this movie?
Oh, it was just the protagonist is from The Bear, and so Colton really likes that actor.
Oh,
so he's like, oh, I really like the actor.
He should watch Shameless if he likes that actor.
Okay. And then I watched The Passenger. Not a fan. Little too stressful.
That's too bad.
I all watched it. Yeah,
I know.
Grant, did you see Passenger?
And then
I don't know. Feel like
but what I did
actually kind of had a feeling of Collateral, by the way. I just thought of it now. It's the hostage in the car situation.
What I did like that I watched last night was Blue Beetle.
Oh no!
I even bought a collector's edition cup because I'm a nerd.
Because you're a fan of the comics, right, Cameron? Or you said you watched some.
Well, so he's in one of my favorite
animated
shows, Young Justice, and his character is the entire driving force for all season 1, because that's essentially the Scarab. And I like the antagonist in Young Justice much better because it's like the Scarabs are sent to each to different planets, essentially sent to conquer. Very similar to kind of like the Omni-Man. Spoiler, it's like
Viltrumites.
Viltrumites. It's kind of similar to that, except like the Scarab sent to like essentially dominate a planet, and then it's sent to Earth, and then Jaime Reyes gets it, and he's like, nah, I don't want to I'm gonna defend Earth. But like these 2 other Scarabs from Mars and I think Venus, like they come to like absolutely murder, and they've had their Scarab for like thousands of years, so they know how to use it way better than him, and so it's just like super interesting and good. But this one, I was surprised. Me and Drew were laughing so much in the theater. There was like 6 of us in the theater. And me and Drew were like I would say 80% of the time we were laughing with the movie, and then like 20% laughing at it, which is kind of the like perfect combination for me, because like writing and acting, like there's just times I was like, man, they're going really all out. Like there's this one scene that the grandma's like driving the ship, and she's like and I was like, oh, she's going for it all. And then like the grandma's like working a minigun. It was just really funny. George Lopez killed it. I also really liked kind of the chemistry between the 2 leads.
The kid from Karate Kid, right?
From Cobra Kai.
Cobra Kai.
Yeah. So yeah, Jaime and Jennifer, I really liked kind of their chemistry. I thought it was really fun. So I give it an 8 out of 10. Definitely a guilty pleasure. I think overall as a movie itself, probably 5, maybe 6, maybe 4 out of 10, but really fun.
Maybe 3, maybe 2.
6, 4.
No, it's not. It's by no means a masterpiece.
Right,
but for me, it's the second best DC since the Dark Knight trilogy.
Did anyone here see the Flash movie yet? I just have to ask. Did anyone see Flash?
I've heard so many bad things about
horror stories about it.
Yeah. Well, you know what I think about Ezra Miller. freak of nature. Anyway,
Well, because Colton owns like a first edition of the Flashpoint Paradox comic, and so he started watching it and he turned it off. So
yeah, because like it's for me, because like I hear about Blue Beetle, and part of me is like, yeah, but it does feel hopeless at this point because now that James Gunn now like owns DC with what's his face, so they're now gonna like reset the whole thing.
Yeah,
And
but I'm worried because I don't love his produced work as much as his directed movies.
yeah, I think he's a talented director.
Well, if anything's like the Flash movies, probably the rest of DC's is already in shambles. I'm not sure if you can kick it more while it's down, but
Yeah, I'm just thinking of like Suicide Squad.
just leave us
It's
alone.
and like
Start cranking
I
out
thought,
animated
yeah,
movies.
I remember watching Man of Steel, and I was like, I thought the punching was kind of exciting. I'm like, years later, I'm like, oh, but I haven't bothered to go rewatch that movie or any of them that for that matter. Why'd you say Martha? It can't sink any lower. I'm
Oh,
with Cameron.
jeez.
You can't go lower. So Blue Beetle, I'm sure when it becomes available, I'll check it out, Cameron.
Grant, what about you? What are you looking
No.
forward to?
Well, I haven't been on forever. I've seen a lot. Kind of just the most noticeable ones. I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but I watched Barbie. Don't recommend.
No.
Yeah, it was not good. And then
I know we literally should have done a Barbenheimer episode, and then at the very end we should have just last 2 seconds be like, and Barbie sex, and then just end it.
And Barbie wasn't that good.
yeah.
And would you recommend Barbie? No. All right, perfect. That'd be great.
And then I rewatched The Fugitive. I forgot how good that movie is. I really enjoyed that one.
Dude, actual Harrison Ford jumping from a train, or it was the real stuntman. I don't know if it was actually Harrison Ford. Now I don't want to give him too much credit,
train?
but practically done. The train, like they timed it, and he leaps from this bus, and it while he's in midair, and the train just blasts through the bus, the prison bus. That stunt is insane. Watching it, it's crazy. Leaps from this bus as a train is timed to smash through it. Dude, come on! They just don't make movies like they used to. And then the best part when he dies off the dam, and it's clearly a dummy.
Mission Impossible 7.
What's that?
Flew off a cliff on a motorcycle. Yes, like they used to. Even better.
Yes and no. Just saying, it's so gritty, dude. When he's climbing out that bus and he looks back and the train's right on top of him, and he jumps up. It's so good. I love it, Grant.
What else?
And then I rewatched John Carter. And for some reason, that movie is like a guilty pleasure for me. For some reason, I really enjoy
Virginia.
it. Actually.
No,
That's so
absolutely
funny.
not. There's
most
something
people
wrong
don't
with
like
that
it.
movie. There's something that makes me feel very uncomfortable watching that movie.
Maybe all the CGI tie.
I feel it feels very uncomfortable to watch. I'll put it that
Virginia.
way.
That
It's
was
like-
like,
it's
the same. That was like the same era as Prince of Persia with Jake Gyllenhaal. That was a crazy era. That was like
Yeah,
right when
what was that? Yeah, both of those movies hit.
like all these like
over.
no name like franchises kind of were getting like blockbuster films.
Yeah. I don't know what to say other than what in the
What-
world were they
what else,
thinking?
Greg?
What is that movie? That movie is like Valerian. It's Jupiter Ascending. That's that thing. It's like this is $1 million budget, directed by really famous people you should know, and produced by people you should know, and it has these new and upcoming actors, and the movie just tanks these poor young actors' careers, and plenty of studios went bankrupt from CGI animation. It's crazy, dude. Anyway,
That's funny.
how did that movie
despite
get
all
made?
that, I still like it for some reason. So.
You are such a weird.
and then Elise and I have been watching 24, and that's been super fun.
Yeah.
Oh my
We've
gosh,
been getting
I'm
back into
tempted
that.
because you watched it all before, right, Grant?
I didn't see all of it. I know I watched at least 3 or 4 seasons, and I think I
Okay.
got to the 5th season,
This season,
but I can't remember if I finished or
That's
not.
the high
but-
note. It doesn't. It doesn't.
Yeah,
peak,
I know.
It peaks
So
at 5.
I'm pretty much
But
just gonna
6 and
watch
7
the
are still
5th season anyway.
good. Yeah, 6 and 7 are still good, and 8 is even have moments that you love. But that 5th one, holy smokes!
Yeah,
Holy
we're on
smokes.
season 2 right now, and it's really good. So
Yes,
I'm
it
jealous,
only
dude.
gets better from there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're gonna ride it all the way
Yeah.
to season 5 again, dude. Yeah,
it was so
I
funny though.
watched
I
those.
just want to mention Elise's comment. She's like, who's that one guy? She's like, I don't think he's very attractive. And I was like, who? She's like, the main guy. I was like, Jack Bauer.
Kiefer Sutherland.
Yeah, this is
Ah.
like, yeah, he's not very like, enticing or anything.
I don't think
I was
that's
like,
his purpose
so
or his
funny.
role in 24.
Grant's like, I'm
No.
right here.
Yeah, it was pretty funny though.
I love it.
We're enjoying it, so it's fun.
Hey, that's a good series if your wife is all googly
Yeah,
eyes for the
we
freaking
skipped
lead
the
actor.
torture parts, but yeah. So
Dude, that's what again, we probably told the story on the podcast. I'm watching 24 for the first time as 13 years old, and I'm like, this is the best show ever. And then mom and dad come down, they're like, well, we've seen like 6 episodes ahead, and someone gets tortured or beaten to death with a shovel. They're like, you're not watching the show. And I'm like,
yeah,
just like pull the rug out from under me as I'm like literally watching it. Oh,
I have
heartbreaking.
PTSD of that sound because it just always meant that everyone else was having fun while I was in
Dun,
bed.
dun.
Yeah, yeah,
In bed
yeah.
at like
You're in
7
bed.
p.m. as like a
You just hear the
7-year-old, and everyone's
ticking
just like,
clock.
"Go to bed, Cam," and it's just
Like, I'm trying to go to bed. I can hear that stupid timer going on.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is so funny. That takes me back, dude. That's too funny.
Ty, what about you?
Show. I've been watching this hilarious show on Prime. It's one of
Oh,
the
She-Hulk?
Top Gears. What's that?
nothing.
What's his name? Top Gear. I'll find his name.
Here, Top Gun.
So Top Gear is like this really funny British show. You guys have watched it, right? Jeremy
Oh, that's where
Clarkson.
that meme came from. He's like, my intelligence, sometimes it's frightening or whatever.
Yes, guys, it is like funny, quirky humor, but like this is so fun to watch. It's Jeremy's Farm, I think it's called.
Harry loves that show, or at least clips from it.
But it's such a fun show, and it's stressful. Golly, I love it, and I wish I could remember the name of it. One second, I'm literally looking it up right now. But anyway, I also watched what is it? I have to look at my list. Is anyone else need to go?
So
Jordan, you go.
informative,
I'm ready.
holy-
Ready.
Go ahead. I'm not ready. Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
So that
I,
movie with that one guy from the other movie.
I watched The Goldfinch. It was on Cole's top 10. That was the last one of his list that I hadn't seen. It was good. I enjoyed it. I wouldn't put it in my top 100, but I did enjoy it. You can't
What'd
go
you give
wrong.
it? What'd you give it? What'd you give it?
Like a 6 out of 10.
Hmm.
It honestly reminds me of what was the one we reviewed with him?
Oh, Place Beyond the Pines.
Yeah, because it has like you start when he's like a
Segmented.
kid, and there's like segments of his life and like connecting, and
Interesting.
and it's an interesting, fascinating story.
Can we say Cole has a type with movies?
Yeah. And then I watched a movie called Belle, which is an anime version of Beauty and the Beast. And I watched it once, and then I was like, oh, this music's really good. So I rewatched it again with my wife. She loves the music. This is how you're supposed to remake movies, Disney. So take notes.
or
And then-
don't remake them.
Don't but yeah, that's true.
Either way
Um,
works.
And then because I'm on this weird like watch Eli Roth movies, I watched The Hostel Part 2. I just have to say the last scene. The kids are playing soccer ball with the severed head. It's classic. It's great. Very funny.
Classic. No, absolute classic.
Or you need
My
mental health.
my kind of movie. Okay, watched Equalizer 3 in the theater. It's fun.
Where does
so-
it rank as far as the Equalizer? Like, what is the order? 1, 3, 2?
I'd
maybe?
say 1, 3, 2.
That's what I didn't even see the second one, but I kind of got I looked at all the IMDb ratings, and that's what I've seen.
Yeah, the
and I'm
second one
like,
had moments that I enjoyed.
right.
Third one, it was just cool. It was like it kind of took a slower pace, and like him being in this village, and you get to kind of. I still think it should have been a tiny bit longer to develop some more characters. And then I also watched Brawl and Subblock again because it's a masterpiece. And then Grant, you recommended Europa Report. It was really good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, that was one Elise showed me. That was
Yeah.
pretty fun.
And I noticed a couple actors that I was really happy. The guy I Am Chappie, he's in it. And then
All right.
also the guy from the foreign version of The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, the main guy, he's in this one, which I thought was really cool. And I recognized one other guy. And then I watched Wheels on Mills with Tatiana. Ty, seriously, you need to watch this movie. It is one of Jackie Chan's best movies.
Meals on Wheels.
Wheels on Mills.
Wheels on Meals.
I know, it's kind of weird. It should be
The way you're saying it also is giving me.
Yeah, I know that's the Utah accent. Wheels on
Meals.
Meals.
Wheels on Meals.
And then- And then I
Wheels
rewatched
on Meals.
and then there
Wheels on Wheels.
and then there were none, which is a classic. That opening scene is amazing.
I still remember the plot twist in that movie. I have not forgotten
Yeah.
it. After all these years, that's the only thing I remember from the movie.
Yeah. But
because
the
apparently you could put a sticker on your forehead and people would be convinced that it's a bullet hole in your head.
spoiler
Never
alert.
forget it, folks.
Okay, and then
I'm not saying who. I'm just saying.
okay, and then involuntary. It's
Oh,
one
and then
of
he winks at him. By the way, he winks. See, I remember all this. That's
okay.
what I'm talking
So
about. At the end, when he's like looks at him, he's like, he's dead, and he's like, he like winks at him. Hilarious. Sorry.
Okay, so this app that Cameron's got me addicted to, Ty, you need to create an account on Letterboxd so we can see your
Yeah, I
movies.
know. Everyone's like, IMDb, what is that? Our grandmas use IMDb. Everyone uses Letterboxd now, right?
I don't know,
Yeah,
but
it's IMDb. Yeah, apparently
it's-
it's like this new thing, and we're movie lovers. We should definitely have one.
well, we all do except you. And Ruben Östlund,
Good with the
so
times.
Ty, the guy that did the Square Triangle of
Yeah.
Sadness.
No,
And
I'll remember that name now.
I'm rewatching his old movies. So this app actually tells you where to find obscure, weird movies. And so I'm finding all his early works. So I watched Involuntary. Let's just say I'll have to edit this out, but his early work, he's come a long ways.
I'm about
There's
to
a scene.
say something, but whatever I'm about to say,
His friends
keep that in the podcast. That is
okay.
funny. Okay, sorry.
His friends like it's
What
like
movie is this?
involuntary.
Oh
That's why I
my
couldn't give it
God.
higher than a half a star.
I think you're confusing the word friends for sadistic people that he used to formerly known
Cult
as friends.
Is the word you're looking for.
Yeah, old
and
friends.
then
They're no
and then
longer friends.
and then their friend like it's pretty. It's just.
My God.
Anyways,
And- oh,
taking all that
boy.
out. Okay, so yeah,
you gotta keep that part where you.
I
I'm
will.
sorry, that was so.
And then
funny.
I
That was
rewatched The
funny.
Cable Guy. Hilarious. Tot and I were laughing the whole time. Ben
Cable
Stiller,
Guy.
gosh dang, dude, he knows how to direct comedies like Tropic
Yeah, I
Thunder.
forget that was Ben Stiller. That was Matthew
Yeah.
Broderick and Jim and Carrey, right? Yeah.
Ty, there's a million cameos in it. Like I'm like, oh, I forgot
Yeah.
Jack Black's in it, and I forgot that Bob Odenkirk's in it, and I forgot
That's right.
Tobias from Arrested Development's in it, and it just kept going on and on. I'm
David
like,
Cross. Yeah, yeah. There's tons of
Bias Fumke, the analrapist never knew.
yes.
Didn't look
And
it
then
on paper. I'll
last-
admit it. Analrapist.
And then
The world's first analrapist.
Analrapist.
does not look good on paper. The last movie, and Ty Cameron, I recommend this. I don't know about Grant, but he might like it. I don't know. Calvary. It's got Mad Eye Moody. I can never remember his name, but Brendan Gleeson.
Gleeson. Yeah, Brendan Gleeson.
Okay.
Really good. Like opening scene. If it doesn't grip you, then just turn it off. It's not for you. But opening
Oh,
scene, he's sitting down and it's doing confession. And the guy's like, "I'm gonna kill you," and you're like, "Whoa, this is so good." Okay, that's all I'll say.
You got my interest. Yeah, I'm interested.
good.
Okay, so now I got to make a case and I got to sell you guys on this show. Okay, on Prime because there's a second season. But guys, get this. This is a 9.0 out of 10 on IMDb. Okay, so I just want to preface that this is called Clarkson's
Called Rings
Farm.
of Power.
Yeah, right?
Everyone go
That
watch
was-
this show.
That was way funnier than it needed to be. Oh, that was great. Oh my gosh. Okay. So let me preface this. So Clarkson's Farm. So Jeremy Clarkson does Top Gear. He's one of the British guys. This show was like huge, but I know none of us are gearheads and none of us watch car shows. So this one is he talks about he's not necessarily in retirement from the cars, but he's like a very successful guy. So he owns acres and acres of land in Britain, right? And he has this farm and he's running it, and it is like all the hardships that someone that's never done farming starts doing. I don't even know how to compare this show. Like, it is funny, it is heartfelt, and it is irreverent at times. It is hilarious, but he's like crops, animals, like it goes through each episode is like a problem that they have to tackle, and you just learn so much about it. But like I find it absolutely fascinating. But again, it is so funny, like gut-splittingly funny. It's got that British wit that like I said, when you watch it, you'll be interested in all the rest of his work, because I don't even like Top Gear, but you actually watch it for their personality, because like, again, they're so funny, very intelligent guys, but like it's just such a joy to watch. So I can't stress this enough. And I was so embarrassed I couldn't remember the name. Clarkson's Farm. Jeremy Clarkson is the Top Gear guy. So
I love that you get into these reality TV shows. That cracks me up.
it's so good. And like I said, it's like a disaster. It almost, I don't even know how, I don't even want to compare it to Chernobyl, but like it literally is like there are some seriously catastrophic things that he has to deal with, and you're just like, it's like I said, it's so good. But again, gut-splittingly funny
It's
because
like Love is Blind.
Love is Blind. Oh my gosh, that stuff is digital heroin. I hate that show, but I keep watching it every year. You guys have seen it, right? Or Grant, or
Me-
who was it here?
Todd and I
Jordan?
started it. We
Of
were-
course you did. Yeah. Oh
No,
my god.
mine
Such a
was
dumb show.
Are You the One? It was just as dumb, but
Oh,
so addictive.
the one. They're all dumb. But anyway, highly recommend. It's on Prime. I'll send you guys the image of it so you see it and you can think about it. Because again, I mean, look at the IMDb, look at the Rotten Tomatoes. There's something for everyone in the show, if not just for the humor. And then my wife and I just love it. So Clarkson's Farm is an amazing show. So anyway, that's what I've been consuming most of my time with. And then just like the odds ins outs or rewatches of, you know, old episodes and old TV shows and stuff like that. But can't think of him offhand, but this one really sticks out. So I want to recommend Clarkson's Farm. It's not for the faint of heart. It is, I think it's TVMA, just there's a bit of language, but again, you're just like, oh, like it seems like a show that Ryan would recommend to us, if that makes sense. But
Kind of
I
like
don't know
Duck
if that's
Dynasty or something.
a little bit,
Um,
but again, like this feels very different because like I don't mind Duck Dynasty. I think that's actually kind of funny, but like this one has more to it. There's a lot more substance than just like, oh, we're this family and we're rednecks and we have this problem and we're getting together at the end of the meal. Like this one's like, I don't know, like one, I feel like I'm learning something, just like how like just please give it a try. I'll show you I'll send you guys the trailer and the show and like just give it a try because I really feel like each episode's like 30-40 minutes long and there's now a second season out and I'm excited to watch the second. So just watching the first one anyway. And of course, I know we talked about it last week, I think, but The Invincible, super excited because I watched the Adam Eve story. Who here's watched that? You guys?
Oh, Grant, have you
Grant,
seen
did you see
it?
yet? Did you see Grant? Okay,
Grant,
not yet.
watch it
watch
though, because
it.
it'll get you not only
I
excited for
know. I have
Invincible
a
season
list of
2.
a bajillion things I need to watch.
I
Put it
know,
at the
but
top of that list.
yeah,
Yeah,
it
that's
was,
number uno, baby.
yeah, it's really good, Grant, and it feels like a perfect continuation and a bridge to kind of help gap the one Adam Eve story, but also bridge it
To
with
set up
Invincibles.
the love story between the two. Because
I know.
that chick.
Seriously, screw her, dude. I hate his girlfriend.
Dude, I watched I watched that video that you sent of like the worst character.
Yeah,
in
that
Invincible.
was so funny.
I know,
Yes.
I saw that. I didn't know if you guys would resonate with that or not because I watched that video
That
and then I also
the Mary Jane one.
the Mary Jane one.
So
Because it made me
fun.
laugh because
Yeah.
I actually did see that Mary Jane one a while ago and I thought it was funny just because I'm a huge Spider-Man fan and I was like, yeah, there was some pretty weird stuff that you know, Kirsten
Yeah,
Dunst got up to
and it's
because I thought it was weird
It
too.
was so
Yeah.
perfect because I rewatched like the Tobey Maguire trilogy like weeks before that video, and so I was so hyped up on my hate for her. I was like, one, she's a terrible actress, and it's two on the nose that that's her character's role is she's a bad actress. I was like, she sucks, and then her character's deplorable.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
She's good. It was just that's just Sam Raimi's directing.
Yeah, I know, right? It's like
Eh,
it's,
eh,
it's great.
anyways, peace,
Too fun.
everybody. Unless you
But
have
yeah,
last thought.
everybody, take it easy. I do this for a
Check us out on
living, Max.
Letterboxd.
This is my job.
Oh yeah, I'll put links in the description for.
And don't forget Mark
Letterboxd.
Ruffalo. He was great in this. I can't remember any of his quotes, but I got guys on the inside. Come with me.
All right,
Peace.
bye.